Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome into the card closet. Going to go a little bit different route on you today. But first, being this is episode 333, our guest baseball card is going to be Eddie Collins, career average of 333. This is his 1933 Gaudy card with the Red Sox, but he is a coach at this point. He was 3 years removed from his final season, and he began coaching the Red Sox in 1933, and he would be with the team until the end of his life in one capacity or another. And Eddie Collins is most infamously known as the guy on the Red Sox who gave, in 1946, Jackie Robinson and other Negro League players a tryout for the Boston Red Sox and declined to bring any of them onto the team after the tryout. Blunder of epic proportions. Red Sox could have been the first team to integrate, and instead they ended up being the last. So Eddie Collins, kind of as a player, was a great player. As a front office guy, left a lot to be desired. So anyway, I don't know if you've been reading the news. Deion Sanders was announced as the new coach of the Colorado Buffaloes last night. He coached in the SWAC championship game where his team, Jackson State University, beat Southern in the SWAC championship. 12-0 season, perfect season. Immediately met with his team. It's on YouTube. He met with Jackson State team, told them he had accepted another position. He immediately got on a plane, flew out to Boulder, Colorado. The team announced on the website that they had hired Deion Sanders. There's a video of him getting a tour last night of all the facilities, and he was just mouth agape at the incredible facilities that they've got out there at Colorado University. And then this morning, he met with the Colorado team, and around noon, he had a press conference where he was introduced by the chancellor and by the athletic director. So a lot's going on there with Deion. And this is also a coming out of the closet, no pun intended. For me, if you've watched my channel carefully, you know that deep down, I am a Colorado fan. And I went through all my clothing and things, and from the glory days of Colorado when I had Colorado t-shirts and Colorado shirts and caps and you name it. The only thing I've got left is this old winter coat with the Colorado logo on it. And I keep it because it's super warm, and I wear it still when I go out and blow snow. So anyway, yeah, I'm a Colorado fan, and this is huge news. We're going to put a couple cards in here. We got Deion Sanders, finest refractor with the Cincinnati Reds, and Deion Sanders, finest refractor with the Dallas Cowboys. Include those in the program here today. So I haven't been this pumped about Colorado for a long time. Haven't really even followed them for the last decade. Last 17 seasons, they've only had 2 winning seasons. They had that one season about 10 years ago with Mike McIntyre. Looked like he was going to turn things around, but it ended up being just a 1-year fluke. They're probably the worst team in the Power 5 conferences. They were 1-11 this year. And honestly, I didn't follow them. I haven't followed them for a long time. I just check in maybe once, twice a year just to see what their record is. But man, this weekend I've been watching everything I can about this hire of Deion, and I am totally pumped. Say what you will about Deion. I know he's got a lot of detractors, and a lot of people are going to say, he maybe isn't qualified for this job with only 3 years as a college head coach in the subdivision at a subdivision school. But you know what? You're probably right. All the negative things you might say about him, you're probably right. But Colorado's got nothing to lose. They were 1-11 this year. They're taking a swing. And if they miss, they miss. But they got nothing to lose. So I'm pumped. I really haven't been this excited about Colorado football since a new coach hire since Dan Hawkins came in, which I think was like in 2006, 2005, 2006. He came down from Boise. You know, he'd had a 13 win and a 12 win season at Boise State. He came down to Colorado, and unfortunately, 5 or 6 years later, he didn't have a single winning record. In my opinion, he's the one that brought the program down because he replaced Gary Barnett, who was annually in a bowl game with the Buffs, but had to leave due to controversy and poor handling of a situation there on campus. But anyway, Dan Hawkins, in my opinion, brought the program down. He was insistent on playing his son as the starting quarterback when, like I say, in my opinion, there was a better quarterback on the staff in Tyler Hansen, but he played his son, and things went downhill from there. They never really have recovered. So tonight, I'm going to show you some Colorado football cards. So I became a Colorado fan in probably like around in the early 90s when they were at their heyday. And so a lot of these cards were easy to pick up. But let's go back to the Colorado glory days and take a look at some of these players. So here's Eric Bieniemy. He ran for 1,000 yards as a sophomore. His junior season, 1989, when they were undefeated during the regular season, he missed half the season with a broken leg. Came back in 1990, their championship season, and was runner-up, I believe, second or third for the Heisman Trophy. And, of course, he got drafted and had an NFL career, as you all know. So here's another one of Bieniemy. Offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs these days. Canavis McGee and Alfred Williams. These guys, 89, 90, they were some of the best linebackers in the country. And they both got drafted, went pro. Remember Mike Pritchard? He was a wingback, had a lot of good punt return type, kick return, punt return type stats. They didn't pass a lot in those days, so his receiving stats weren't that great, but he ended up getting drafted. We've got another Bieniemy. Another Mike Pritchard. Another Bieniemy. Another Bieniemy. Jim Garton was an offensive lineman. Great player. Opened up a lot of those holes for their running game. Tim James had a few interceptions, I know, in 1989. Charles Johnson was the backup quarterback. So if you know the story, in 1988, Colorado broke through. They had an 8-3 record, lost in the Holiday Bowl. Their quarterback was a guy named Sal Aunisi, and he ended up, in the early spring of 89, he ended up being diagnosed with stomach cancer. He died, and he died like 3 games into the 89 season. So Charles Johnson was their backup quarterback to Darian Hagan. But most importantly, or most notably, the following season in 1990, when Darian Hagan was injured, Charles Johnson was the quarterback in that infamous 5-down win against Missouri. Got another Canavis McGee. Mike Pritchard. Another great offensive lineman here, Mark Vanderpool. Alfred Williams. Another Bieniemy. Another Mike Pritchard. One guy that doesn't have any cards is J.J. Flanagan. And he was the one who stepped up in 1989 when Bieniemy got hurt. J.J. Flanagan stepped it up and had a 1,000-yard rushing season. Eric Bieniemy. Another Joe Garton. Another Tim James. Canavis McGee again. Of course, that 89 team would go 11-0. They'd represent the Big Eight in the Orange Bowl where they played Notre Dame. They were ranked number 1. Notre Dame was ranked like number 4. And Notre Dame beat them 21-6, I believe it was. Colorado left 14 points on the field. They fumbled it. Bieniemy fumbled it running in. Nobody even made a hit on him. He just dropped the ball. So they lost 7 there. They botched 2 field goal attempts and an extra point. Yeah, even if they had those 14 points, though, they still would have lost 21-20. Let me know in the comments if you remember any of these guys. Butkus Award winner in 1990, Alfred Williams. Of course, in 1990, Buffs got off to a bad start. They lost one, they tied one. Then they went on a 10-game winning streak, finished 11-1-1, and were national champions. There's Joel Steed, nose tackle. Another Joel Steed. He would go out play for the Steelers. Of course, they would beat Notre Dame in that Orange Bowl following the 1990 season, 10-9. Rocket Ishmael had a kickoff return for a touchdown that would have sealed the game for Notre Dame at the end, but one of his teammates clipped, and they called it back. Tony, I know what you're thinking, Tony. Stop. Ronnie Bradford. Here's a guy, Chad Brown. He was a freshman during that breakthrough 89 season. He got redshirted in 90, and he played 91, 92, and 93 for him. Chad Brown was a pretty good player in the NFL. Steelers got him too. And here's another one the Steelers got, Deion Figures. Who remembers Deion Figures? Here's Bradford again. Here's a good one, good-looking picture of Chad Brown. Steelers ended up with a lot of Colorado players. A lot of their lineup, like, for example, in 96, 97, was a lot of former Colorado players. So Leonard Renfro. Another one. This guy was drafted by the Dolphins. Remember Ronnie Woolfolk? Heisman Trophy winner, Rashaan Salaam. Only Heisman Trophy winner in Colorado history. Unfortunately, he passed away. Apparently a self-inflicted injury a couple years ago. Ran for 2,000 yards in 1994. That was the year. 94 was Bill McCartney's last year as a coach. They had Cordell. They had Salaam. And they had Michael Westbrook. All three would go pro. They would play Notre Dame at the end of that 94 season as well. And absolutely smoked them. Charles Johnson had a couple 1,000-yard receiving seasons during that time frame. He would go to the Steelers as well, like Cordell Stewart did. Now we're getting into post-McCartney days. Rick Neuheisel took over from McCartney, had a couple 10-2 seasons to start his career with them. Then I think he went 4-8, and then he came back with an 8-4. And then Neuheisel moved on, and Gary Barnett came in. Michael Westbrook. Another Deion Figures. There's a shiny Rashaan Salaam. Here's a guy who had a NFL career for a brief time, Christian Faria. I guess that's autoed. Another Rashaan Salaam. Here's a guy who had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons for Colorado. Ray Caruth. he got into trouble. Matt Russell. Another card I'd like to get a card of is Jeremy Bloom. He was a big-time kick returner for Colorado, and he got drafted by the Eagles, I think, and he's a gold medalist in skiing in the Olympics. You probably heard of Jeremy Bloom. There's another Ray Caruth, and then they haven't had a lot of superstars in recent years come out of Colorado, but one of them is Mason Crosby, one of the all-time greatest kickers in NFL history. So there you go. That's my Colorado Buffaloes collection, short and sweet. Expectations, a lot of people are saying on their channels that they're thinking sky's the limit. I think Deion is going to do wonders for them. I think that he's going to be big in recruiting. He's going to bring his son, Shedeur Sanders, along. And Shedeur is an incredible quarterback. So I think they're going to get some good talent out of that. If they win 3-4 games next year, that's probably what I expect. Hopefully within 2 years, they're a bowl team, 6-win, 7-win team. And I'm probably on the low end of what people are predicting, but, it takes time to take a 1-11 team and turn it over. I know that last year, Colorado got the number one high school recruit in the country, Travis Hunter, who had committed to Florida State. He changed his mind and went to Jackson State, which surprised everybody that a player of that caliber would go to the subdivision. But he probably I would not be surprised if he would transfer over to Colorado. I guess I'm hearing that Deion's other son, Shiloh, is probably going to stay put at Jackson State. He's a defensive back. There's a running back for Alabama named Trey Sanders, who 3 years ago was top 10 recruit in the country, running back. He went to Alabama. He hasn't gotten a lot of playing time. And just earlier today, he tweeted to Deion Sanders and said, "Hey, coach, you got room for me?" So, a backup running back for Alabama probably would make a huge, huge improvement for Colorado's lineup. So tomorrow, the transfer portal opens up. Who knows what's going to happen? Deion says he's got a lot of recruits, a lot of people talking to him behind the scenes that they want to jump over to Colorado. So we'll see. It's hard not to be excited. Must be excited if I'm going 18 minutes here on the Colorado 1-11 Buffaloes. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this move. I don't think this is people say Deion could have done better. I don't think this is his final destination, honestly. I think he's here for 2, 3, 4 seasons, and it's a stepping stone to the big time, to a top 5 program. So we'll see, but I think he's going to help us while he's here. So thanks, everybody, for watching, and go Buffs!